Hello, and welcome to Coding Your MVP with Leo, co-founder of Blueshift. This is a part of the Super Team Canada Cypherpunk Hackathon Workshop Series. Thanks for joining us, and please make sure to check out our Luma page for future workshops that can be found in the link in our bio in X, as well as feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about the Cypherpunk Hackathon, which is the global Solana hackathon ongoing now until October 30th. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to our wonderful guest workshop facilitator and speaker, Leo. Please take it away.
Thank you so much. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much, guys. I'm very excited to be here today to talk about the Cypherpunk Hackathon and pretty much like how to build an MVP. And in this occasion, how to use actually Blueshift to facilitate the building of an MVP. But I guess before we start with everything, I guess I might as well just introduce myself. So I'm Leo. I've been developing on Solana for 3 years right now. And I'm one of the co-founder of Blueshift and one of the co-founder of Reflect. That is pretty much like Blueshift is my passion project, and it's where we make all the education happen, and Reflect is pretty much my day job and like my real life product that actually won the grand prize, was the grand prize winner 2 hackathons ago for Coliseum. So just letting you know that I'm not just random guys that they took up from the street. So yeah, pretty much let's maybe spend some like 10 minutes to not even 10 minutes, like 2 minutes to talk about like what's Blueshift and how it can help you. So Blueshift was born 7 months ago out of me and Dean pretty much like chatting and say, well, I think like we have a lot of open source example. I think we taught a lot of developer on Solana, but the way that we did it till now, it's not actually scalable. And we were thinking like, what was an example of like what made Solana better? And we thought about build space. I don't know if you guys were familiar about build space before becoming the pretty much like we can say that the startup show. It was kind of a startup show, but before that, they were focusing mainly on education, and they had a very, very extensive course on Solana. And so pretty much the idea was, can we replicate what BuildSpace did for their website, but like with Blueshift, and make it so much better, so much up to date, and like with all the information about like why do you need to start? And pretty much this is how Blueshift was born. Blueshift is first of all an education project, and it's fully self-funded. And you might think, how do you guys make money? We don't actually make a lot of them, but it's fine because this was the objective of the goal of the product. But the main thing is we have a dev shop where we pretty much like funnel all the dev shop money into making education better on Solana. So without further ado, let's start with the hackathon. So I think first of all, if you're new to Solana, if you never heard about Solana, if you never coded on Solana, don't worry. Starting to code is actually pretty easy. 3 years ago, when I started coding, actually I didn't know how to code, and I started directly with Solana. So if I did it, and like I'm not a very smart guy, so if I did it, for sure you guys can do it as well. And so pretty much the thing that I would start by saying is, first of all, build like to participate in the hackathon, an MVP is needed. Like a lot of people think that Coliseum is just a pitch deck competition, and you might place with just a pitch deck, but there are so many submissions, there are so many cool projects that if you want to have an edge, you should actually build an MVP. An MVP doesn't need to be polished. It needs to work. Like the thing that all the hackathon judges, and this year I'm gonna be one of them, It's that they just want to know that if they're gonna back you, your idea is actually feasible. Because a lot of the time, a lot of the people have like ideas that are great, but at the same time are not feasible. So what the hackathon judge are looking for is like, show me that your idea is actually feasible. Show that to me with an MVP that doesn't need to be polished, doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to function to showcase that you can actually do it. And so to build an MVP that actually does that, even if you don't know how to code, it's not easy, but it's totally doable. First of all, there are, for everything that require coding on Solana, there are two different parts. Naturally, there is the TypeScript part that is like the front end and back end. And you can go very, very far by just like using TypeScript and never touching Rust. You can do that by building on top of other products. So most of the products, most of the smart contracts actually have an API that you can call from your backend, and pretty much you can compose on top of that to create a product. It doesn't need to. You don't need to touch Rust at all in that occasion. But naturally, if you want better flexibility, better security, and in general you want to own something, you might want to go for the Rust stuff. That it's the smart contract. The main difference is that if we go the Rust way, we actually own the smart contract. We can do whatever we want. If we do go only the TypeScript way, we might build on top of other program that might broke, but or just like might change. Or so it's like building on TypeScript is way easier, but at the same time, it's like probably you want to have the Rust part to make sure that everything is safe and sound. For the Rust part, naturally, you can build a smart contract in not only Rust, you can build it in C++, you can build it in C, you can build it in Zig, you can build it in like pretty much all the language, even in Python. You can build a program in all the languages. Naturally, I think in my opinion, the best way, or like not even the best way, but like the most supported one, is by building with Rust. On Rust itself, there are two ways of building a smart contract. The first one is by using Anchor, and the second one is by using a native Rust. Anchor makes it so much easier to build a smart contract, but naturally it's not very optimized. But for an MVP, is like not even for an MVP, for like a full-scale product that doesn't need to have low-level optimization, it's totally fine. Camino is built on Anchor. Drift is built on Anchor. Like most of the product out there are actually built on Anchor, so it's totally fine to go the Anchor way. Solana Native naturally gives you a little bit more granularity. So it's like if you're an advanced coder, or like if you already know Rust very, very well, you might be interested in learning Pinocchio instead of Anchor. Both Anchor and Pinocchio are two framework. Anchor is way more opinionated. Pinocchio is pretty much like just native Rust, but it makes it so much easier and so much more efficient to write Solana program in native Rust. So let's talk mainly. We're gonna talk mainly about Anchor, just because I think, from my personal perspective, this should be the way that you go and build your MVP. Anchor is born by Armani, the CEO of Backpack, that before they owned a company called Coral, and pretty much Coral was focused on like all the a lot of like open source goods for the Solana ecosystem, and one was Anchor. Anchor uses a lot of macro to actually makes writing smart contracts way easier. It's not just like it doesn't help you just to build accounts, instruction, and programs, like to have all of them in a way that it's way easier to understand, but it changes a little bit the syntax of Rust itself. So when you write Anchor program, it doesn't even feel that much like Rust, and this is why it's way easier for beginner to actually learn Anchor, because it doesn't actually feel like Rust. Like you don't need to know anything about Rust, if not like the very, very basics, to start working with Anchor. So the other cool thing that Anchor does is pretty much like one of the hardest way to think about smart contracts is like the way that you set up your accounts. So if you're familiar with the EVM ecosystem, if you're familiar with like normal Web2 stuff, it will become a big surprise at like how Solana works, because like most EVM contracts, for example, all the information and all the state is stored directly inside of the program. So this means that, for example, when and this is why every time we like each if you want to build on top of the program, you need to deploy a new program. So for example, when you launch a token, there is nothing like pump.fun, but each token needs a specific contract. This is because most of the state is saved directly inside of the program. The main difference with Solana is that programs are fully stateless. What does it mean? That no information are ever saved into the smart contract itself. The way that it works is pretty much like the smart contract only executes some logic. So to start thinking about accounts, you need to think about, it's like a container where you store all the information that needs to then use on chain. So and there are two different type of accounts. The first one is a system account. The system account is the most basic account that exists on Solana, and it's like all the wallets that you guys have is just a system account. Inside, we just know who owns it and how many Solana are in there. Then from the system account, we can transform that system account into a program account. And the program account is what makes pretty much like all the smart contract works. This is because inside of the program accounts, we can actually save some data. And so this means that, for example, token accounts are program accounts owned by the token program. And they work by like, you know how much tokens you have because those are like stored into an account. So there is not actually a token, like it's not like Solana that can just like be sent around. The way the token accounts work is just like we're just changing the balance inside like the data of those accounts, in particular the balance when we transfer out tokens. And so this is like why program accounts are so important. And this is like one of the most important thing to think when you're building a smart contract. I guess I talked for like I just like gave a very, very brief introduction about everything you need to know about smart contract. I don't know if anybody has any question from the chat that I could answer. In case, I'll just like go through Blueshift and like teach you guys how you can actually find all this information that I just said, and like how can you learn more about all of those. I guess I don't see any questions, so I'll just move on. Cool. So this is the Blueshift website.
Up here. I don't see any questions either from the X stream or the YouTube stream. Just want to be sure you're still on the Make the Shift Build on Solana screen. You haven't started streaming the deck yet. You're good, right?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I just like you're right. I should have said at the start. I usually don't do decks. I just like go through, like just talk a little bit about it and just like go through the website. It seems pretty much like I can use that as a deck.
No, that's perfect. I just didn't want the mistake to happen that maybe you thought you were streaming a deck and and you're just showing your website the whole time. That's all good. All good. Yeah, no, this is great. Keep going. You got this, Leo.
Thank you, Simon. Cool. So yeah, pretty much this is our website. You can it's blueshift.gg. You can go here. You can see pretty much like what's Blueshift about. Like where are the people that we trained in the past? Most of them works at like the top company in Web3, and yeah, everything that you're gonna see in this page is completely free. So let's just go through the pages and like see where you should focus to learn how to build like an MVP for the hackathon. So the whole website is divided in two different parts. There is the courses part and there is the challenges part. The courses part is right now I think we have over 30 different courses, but it's pretty much, this is probably where you're gonna focus a lot during the hackathon. In here, we have pretty much like a lot of guides about tooling, but most importantly, we have like these guides that we call Anchor for Dummies and Pinocchio for Dummies. Naturally, you guys want to go mostly through the Anchor for Dummies, but here pretty much it's explained exactly how Anchor works, from like a very brief introduction about like what Anchor is, like I did before, like Anchor accounts in the most specifically, like how accounts works in general on Solana, how can you actually use them inside of your program, how can you actually create your first smart contract. Then we have like how instruction works, how to test your program, because testing is one of the most important thing. Like you don't want to go on mainnet without actually having thoroughly test your program, just because it will like testing will prevent financial losses. So it's a must. It's a must that you must test. You must test your program extensively. And like there are all types of flavor for tests. Like there is TypeScript test, there is Rust test, there are where we use Mollusk. There are like testing using Light SVM, running a local validator, running SurfNet. Pretty much like all the tools that you can use for testing are gonna be on this page. Then it's just like, okay, now I built my smart contract. Now I tested my smart contract. How do I deploy it? And so this page pretty much has everything that you need to actually deploy your program. And then it's like, okay, my program is now deployed. How do I connect it with my website? And for this reason, we have what we call client-side development, where first of all, we explain how to use the Anchor Client SDK, because Anchor actually makes it so much easier to actually build a front end for it. But then there are like other stuff, for example, fetching, filtering accounts, emitting events, and like everything that pretty much you need to know when you think about connecting your smart contract with your website. Last and for all, probably for an hackathon, you guys actually don't need that, but there is like some advanced concept using Anchor. So this will probably be your Bible for building an MVP. And one cool thing that you can do is that after finishing up these Anchor for Dummies courses, you can go through the challenges. And we have like at the moment, we have 3 different Anchor challenges. We're gonna add a lot more in the next weeks. But pretty much you can just like go through each and every challenge here. They are very explained. So even if you don't know anything about Anchor, after reading the courses and going through these challenges, you probably can easily finish up all these challenges. And a cool thing about it is that we have what we call a backend verifier. And so once you build out your program, you can actually drop it into the website. And what the website does is just like perform some tests automatically on the smart contract. And if all test passes, means that you actually made a fully working smart contract. And if the tests don't pass, it explains exactly where the problem is. After completing a challenge, you earn an NFT that I think is actually quite cool. And by minting those NFT, pretty much it represents your proof of work. So like if you want to get R in the future, if you want to showcase like, oh yeah, I know how to do that stuff, you can easily do it by showing your NFT. But I guess let's come back to the courses, because another very interesting course that you might want to do if you are not really familiar with blockchain in general, but Solana, there is this introduction to blockchain in Solana course that pretty much like takes you through why we need blockchain, why we like how blockchain works under the hood, and like how they evolved. So going from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Solana. And the most important part will probably be this introduction to Solana, where we explain accounts, we explain how transaction works, we explain how program works, program-derived address that are one of the most important thing, and like cross-program invocation that called even CPI. So I think this lesson is, this course is important on so many levels than just like the technical side. First and for all, once you build an app for the hackathon, you need to make sure that this app makes sense in the blockchain. It's like, why, like the first thing that you should ask yourself is, why does this app is so much better with blockchain? Like, why do I need blockchain to make this work? And so just like as a reminder of like why we went into blockchain and like why the blockchain technology existed, I think this course this course does a very good good job of that. Second for all, it's like before you touch anything Solana related, you must read into your brain like how accounts work, how a transaction works, what are programs, and like PDAs and CPI. You need to know them by heart, because this will make it so much easier to think about like how to actually make your program. It's like before writing the code is the easiest part of like building a smart contract. The most important part is like, how do I make it efficient? How can I think about like how does a program look like, and like what are the actions that must happen in the smart contract? Like how do I structure it to make it work? How do I structure it to make it a good user experience for my user? So when you're thinking about building a product, these are the first questions that you want to ask yourself. Only after that you can start coding. And like the coding part is actually very easy right now with AI and like all the research that are out there about like, for example, developing with Anchor. Any question about this? If not, I'll just continue. So I guess it's like to put in context, like what do you guys need to do to actually make an MVP that works? Is like, first of all, it needs to be deployed somewhere. It's like the day of the submission, what the judges want to see is a website where they can click and go through it. But naturally, it's like that website, in my opinion, shouldn't be ready only on the day of the hackathon, but you should talk to your user as soon as like the first day. It's like, even if it doesn't work perfectly, even if it like having a link that you can share with like judges or like other people and get like some feedback on it, that's the most important part, because based on that you can code so much more of the MVP by knowing what people want, instead of just like building for a full month and then just like maybe build a very good MVP, maybe build an MVP that works fantastically, but just like that works as what you think the user wants. So it's just like having an MVP ready as soon as possible. I think it's the most important part. The second important part is like get your first user as fast as possible. And for this I can help. I'm always down to like look at the app, look at new applications. So after you talk to like think about an idea, you just want to think, what's like my biggest pain point right now? Like what do I dream of being able to do that it's not possible? Second thing is like, how does this how is this better using blockchain? And if you find an idea that it's like it works for both of this stuff, I think this is like the perfect application for you. Because first of all, you'll care about, like, you'll be the first person to care about the application, and so the motivation will be big. Because I'm gonna be honest, coding on Solana in general, it's a very, very steep learning curve. So it's just like it starts very, very hard, and then it becomes so much easier. But it's like, if you don't have an idea that you actually believe in, while the curve is still very, very steep, it will become very, very hard to just finish it up. So build something that you're passionate about and talk to user day zero. Like tweet at people, respond to people, even like steal ideas. Like if you open Twitter, usually during the start of the hackathon. So this week there are a lot of we can call them KOL, but like they're not just KOL, like Mert, Matty from Colosseum, and like all these people, they actually tweet ideas every single day. You can just like, if you believe in that idea, you can just steal it and like build it for you, and like you will have your first user that way because you're building something that people that you already know people want. And so after that, just like build the MVP as fast as possible, have like a very, very shitty UI that you can refine based on like user feedback, but just like something that works that you can show people and that they can test. After that, the goal is just to continue to refine that idea till submission day. I don't know if that alpha was good enough, but yes, exactly. Simon is right. Tape Drive got their idea from one of Tolly's tweets, but like he's not the only one. Like so many people. Like even I think Time.fun. I think Time.fun was a Mertz idea. Like Mertz said, "I'm getting DM every day, and I just like want a way to like have people not like he didn't want to earn from that, but he wants to like filter the I leads, and like Time.fun did that with money, and so that's how like Time.fun was born. Like so many ideas were born that way. So definitely like follow all the best minds on Solana, because they always share off about like they always share off about like building an application. So other than that, to be honest, to code your first MVP, it doesn't take much. It just takes like, I think the best idea is like focus about the product, focus about the user, and just like be in love with your idea, so it becomes easier to build your MVP. I don't know if we want to go a little bit more in detail on the technical side, but I think in general, like all the information that you need to actually build your first smart contract, and like all the example, I'm gonna share Dean's GitHub. Dean's have like lots of example that you can steal pretty much to do everything that you need. 1 second, I'll send it to our private chat if you guys can share it in the comments. Yeah, and there is the build.superteam.fun has a lot of idea. I don't know how much they updated lately, but there are so many good idea there. This is the GitHub, and it's actually very, very good. Like in there are so many examples. And one thing that I'm gonna say, your first product, and like an example that you need to know by art is an escrow, because everything is an escrow. Like when you think about it, so what an escrow is, pretty much me as a user, I deposit something that I can take back or exchange for something else. And this is like the most basic block for building any application on Solana. If you think about it, an AMM is like just an advanced version of an escrow. An order book is just an advanced version of an escrow. Pretty much like a DAX is just an advanced version of an escrow. So once you nail down and like you really know how an escrow works, and you can see that on our website, on Dean's GitHub, you can see pretty much like anywhere. After that, building everything that you need becomes so much easier. Cool. Anybody has any question? If not, I can continue to talk about like my experience during hackathon, or yeah. So I'll just talk about Reflect. That is my startup that won the 2 hackathons ago. So the thing that first of all, we were really, so the winning edge, I think, came from, first of all, we got lucky, but at the same time not very lucky, because I think we knew, but we were already into stable coins before they were a trend. Like now it's a big trend, but at that moment nobody was talking about stablecoin the way that everybody's talking right now. So I think the first edge was finding a niche that would explode in the future, and people knew that it would have exploded in the future, but they weren't thinking about it. So first of all, it's like we found a very, very good niche that it was stablecoin. Second of all, we were really, really in love with the idea. Like the Reflect, pretty much it's a very, very easy way to earn yield on top of like your idle USDC. But the cool thing about Reflect is like all this money can actually be used in DeFi. And so just like we wanted a better way to actually have stablecoin on chain, and we find that through Reflect. And like that was the main idea of Reflect, like of finding a way for making stablecoin that were yield bearing, but at the same time were usable and spendable in DeFi. And so I think these were the two main points of the that gave us the winning edge. The third point I think was that it was very, very difficult. Like it was a very, very difficult idea, and we had an MVP that worked on mainnet, and so people could like just use it on mainnet day zero. Naturally, it was just an MVP. Like people could use it, but once we won the hackathon and we went through the accelerator, we raised some funds. We pretty much like rewrote everything from scratch. And so this is why I'm thinking, why I'm saying like we got like a lot of user, and like we got a lot of people chatting about Reflect day zero. We built something that people could use to showcase how it will look how it will look like in production. But at the same time, it's like after the hackathon ended, we pretty much like rewrote the entire thing from scratch. So it doesn't need to be perfect. You just need to like show people how it will work, because by doing that, they get a feeling about like what's the end polished result will be. So yeah, these were all my advice for building an MVP and like how to win an hackathon. I don't know if anybody has any other question about like, or like want some more alpha about like winning an hackathon, but I think I shared all the alpha that I had. How do you know if you're overbuilding? That is actually a very good question. In my opinion, overbuilding doesn't exist if you're still like talking to the people. Like if you're spending most of the time coding and not talking to people, then definitely there you're overbuilding. Like if you don't have any feedback from anybody during the all 30 days, this means that you're definitely overbuilding. If you're building a lot, but at the same time, it's like you're iterating a lot with your users and like with the people that are excited about your idea, I don't think there is anything like overbuilding. Like the more polished it is, naturally the best it is. But at the same time, it's like this is not the most important part. The most important part is like building something that people want. So it's just like you're overbuilding only if you're building that in like an ivory tower. If you're just like making a very polished project while talking to your user, I think that's totally fine. Definitely super team. I'm a super team Germany member, and like most of the alpha on the hackathon, I got it from them. Like and like there are so many good mentors, there are so many good members, there are so many good people, and there are so many good workshops like like the one you're on right now that actually tell you so much alpha. So definitely, it's like if you're not in a super team, join a super team. If you're never visited, if you're never went to Build Station, because super team has I don't know how long is in super team Canada, but like super team Germany, we usually have 2 weeks where all the builders like got together into a space, and there are lots of workshops, lots of mentors, lots of help from both the dev side, but the product side, the user side, and like there is like where you can iterate so fast.
Yeah, we have the I think we call the Friday vibe stations, which is just the Friday co-working. We actually have in 3 different cities across Canada. I think you have it in 2 cities in Germany
Munich
right
and
now.
Berlin. Yeah, Munich and Berlin.
Yeah, and then we'll do like the 10-day/2-week build station at the end of the hackathon. So I think that's October 23rd to 30th. We'll have like the 24-hour coding den, feedback sessions, workshops, presentations kind of style thing, just to help everybody kind of like really hone in on their pitch deck and make sure they're hitting all like the submission requirements. And some people are getting like last minute feedback on some of their products, but realistically, like the last week of the hackathon should really be like everything's basically done. Mostly you're kind of just refining your pitch and getting some last minute things brushed up for your submission.
Definitely, if you have a product, like have an MVP by then, because it's the best time to show to people. Cool.
Any last questions from the audience? This mysterious, Fibonacci or Super Team Canada account. Want to ask any last questions, or anybody from the Twitter? We do have like over 100, 150, viewers. So
Nice.
Don't be shy. Post it in the chat wherever you're watching, and we can answer. Leo know what he's doing. So
hopefully.
Hopefully, I mean, yeah. I think the way I always frame everything during the hackathon is like, we're all kind of like figuring it out. We all have a lot of knowledge and experience and background, and like our job is to do our best to increase your chances of winning.
100%.
I have one last question before we sign off, which is, what's the best piece of advice you've received as a founder?
Okay, so one contrarian take that I received is like, and this like came into when we were pitching Reflect, but it's actually, I think, very like usable into your submission as well. It's like when you have the possibility of talking about your project, don't even show your pitch deck. Like send your pitch deck, but there are two part of the submission. There is like the pitch deck naturally, and you should send that, and this will be the first point where like people see and like get interested in your idea. But when you should talk about like your product, don't talk over a pitch deck. Just like talk about your idea, because people have like so little time, and they want to get hooked. Like you should try to find a way to hook the listener into 20 seconds and really tell about their idea. Because if they're really interested in your idea, then they will go to the pitch deck. And if the pitch deck is done in a good way, there will be everything that they need to know there. So just like don't focus, don't. I think just like focus on like getting people hooked up. Like in the first 5 seconds, they already needs to know what your product does and why it's important to them. Once you nail that first 5 seconds, everything is downhill.
Great, and I have one last spicy question to end us off here. Who is your third favorite super team and why?
Third favorite is a super team. Well, I guess
we know who the first and second are. So,
well, no. I think the first one, the first one is Super Team Germany naturally, but I have to say the second one is Super Team Canada. I have so many friends from Super Team Canada that I think I might need to say, like, I don't have in mind another super team that comes second place. So definitely second place is Super Team Canada for all the amazing builder that you guys have.
I wasn't even looking for a plug. I was looking for the third favorite. Give me the third favorite, Leo.
Third favorite, I think probably UK. I think UK. Yeah, I think like Germany, Canada, UK. They're a lot of very good builder as well. I love Cap and what he's doing. Love Arch as well. So definitely.
Yeah, and all your time at a super team and the super team network, what's what's one of the things that you think makes like a solid super team? Other than community is definitely the best, easiest answer to that. But like other than that, what's some of the most valuable things you've gotten out of a super team?
So I think I think like each super team does something very like great in a different way. Like if I think about Super Team Germany, what makes Super Team Germany great is like the amount of like amazing devs and like people yeah, amazing devs that are there. Like I think it's like the Super Team Germany is very, very technical. Like most of the members are now working at squads, like, and pretty much like in all the big protocol. So I think like, but it's like, I think it's mainly because they give you the possibility. It's like, it's not even about community. Naturally, community is the most important part, and like this technical part that I just said about Super Team Germany is there. But I think it's like Super Team is about opportunity, like not just by the ERL events or like just by the local super team, like Super Team Earn, Super Team Talent. Everything that Super Team does is just like give more possibility to the people that participated in.
Cool, thank you. And one last from Ben before I hand it to Fib to close us out. Do you need a great mustache like you have to win the prize of the jury?
Well, the mustache DAO Cabal is actually pretty good, but luckily you don't need to grow a mustache to win an hackathon.
Wonderful,
That's
thank
good
you.
news.
And Fib, back to you to close us out.
Yeah, that's good news for me. I tried, I can't. All right, thank you so much, Leo. This was extremely informative and very helpful. A lot of alpha here in this call. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll share the recording with our startups who weren't able to be here. And if anyone has questions for Leo, Leo, feel free to drop any resources or links in a comment on the tweet later if you would like. And yeah, congratulations on becoming a judge. And we're excited to see how the hackathon goes and what incredible Solana innovations we have this year.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. It's been a
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you.